volunteer. Awesome. Castle. So the castle is super interesting. So, and I feel like I got from a lot of people issues around boundaries. I think this is how to make yourself feel like you have a place that is secure, and communicating those boundaries so that you do feel like at home where you are. So that's what I'm getting, and feeling like there's this place of security and negotiating those boundaries between other people. So who we are letting in and who we are letting out, because castle is both, you know, this idealized place, but it is also that fortress. And I think it's balancing between I'm also getting something about like having this ideal notion of what home should be like, or even what family should be like, and balancing that out with how do we communicate, how do we create those boundaries, how do we also, I think, you know, we were talking about themes of self-acceptance. I'm going to pull a crystal card. There you go. Oh, this is so pretty. I'm just going to use for something. So bismuth. So the first thing that I am drawn to this card, as in terms of who needs it, the easily distracted and people who are very bored, and that is very much the Gemini energy. So, and in combination, this feels a little bit like, how do we get to that point where we're content, like at home and in our security, and not always feeling like we're reaching for that distraction. So going on to the spread, our first question is, how has my awareness expanded in the last 6 months? So again, we are starting with that new moon in Sagittarius. So if everybody can kind of like call back to where they were in that mid-December range. So Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is all about having received trauma and moving on from that trauma, and feeling a little bit guarded, but still wanting to engage in the world. And we can kind of see that coming back to this idea of a castle, of, you know, feeling at home, but also protected. And then moving on from that, so with this waxing crescent, and we can think of that as even from that December, maybe that January period. So if we started out with working on, say, letting people in while still being in a bit of a guarded place, and the next phase is, how are we progressing towards those goals? So the Hermit. And, you know, it's funny, I was at a circle last month that focused on cards of protection and identifying which archetypes felt protective to you. And this was my card of protection. And a hermit can be like straightforward hermit. Sometimes when I pull this card, it is definitely like, oh, we're just staying at home. But the reason the hermit goes off into the woods, or he, you know, seeks that solace, is to get in touch with himself and his own inner knowledge, because there was so much weight from everybody in the world, all the judgments, all the expectations from everybody, but it's very hard to understand what's your energy, what's your dreams. And this lantern right here, this is the energy that is in the star card that comes in later in the tarot. And the star card is all about those hopes, dreams, and connecting with the divine and pulling that down into the material world. So what the Hermit is doing is taking that quiet time so that they can really connect and really protect this light. So from this, I'm getting this real need to learn how to protect that inner light, that spirit. So going on to the next question is, which beliefs and ideals am I passionate about now? And this is one of my favorite deaths. And death is very much in the middle of the tarot, and it is a complex card. It is primarily about transitions. The death card is almost always about the actual transition part of the process. But so in this reading, while there may be for certain individuals something that's more topically around, like connecting with past over loved ones, serving people who are in that end stage of life, this is really about personal transformation, possibility of new beginnings, and really pushing past those boundaries. So if we are coming from that guarded energy to the Hermit energy, this is about going through the portal. One of my other favorite, if I can find it quickly, death cards is in this book. I don't know if I can find it quickly enough, but I will just describe it. It is a hooded figure, and all you see is a forest where the face would be, and it is that portal directly into the next life. It's just a portal, just like birth. It's all about the cycles there. Going on to the next question, where can I be more open and truthful in my life? So this is interesting. This deck has two cards that are outside of the standard Rider-Waite-Smith, and this is the Mother Star, which is a yes card. One, I'm getting connections with like mother relationships and maternal relationship, but also being open and accepting, you know, like once we are kind of past that hurdle, starting to then say what we're saying yes to, and really like, I think being open about what we're about. I think that's the and about where we're going. This hat on here reminds me a lot of like the Sphinxes on the Chariot, and it's got the wing. It's so unique, and it's got this third eye. And I feel like this is really saying yes to opportunities, and also being open and clear about who we are, identifying with our spirituality. And going on to question 5, what is my guiding vision for the future? Nine of Cups. And Nine of Cups is all about wish fulfillment and personal contentment. So if we have this dream that we are protecting up here with the Hermit card, and we're needing to say yes more so that we can get to this place of where we are really content and we're not, you know, turning stuff down or ignoring our own needs out of feelings of obligation, and familiar with relationships, and really getting comfortable with being content. I think that's definitely something I'm getting here. And finally, so full moons, all about release. What do we need to release in order to feel free? And the Nine of Pentacles. So interesting. So we have the 2 9s right there, and they're contrasting. The Nine of Pentacles is very self-sufficient. Nine of Pentacles, great card, awesome card. I would think of it like colloquially as kind of like the single ladies card. It is also a Virgo Venus card, which I am. Might be as well, but it is a card of almost like I don't need anybody else, and that is where Virgo gets, or Venus gets into detriment in Virgo, is that it can be a little bit too isolated, isolated up in a tower. So contrasted with how can we bring in more emotion, more relationships, more cups in, so that we can reach that contentment and not be so hyper independent. Finding a good balance between the emotional fulfillment and a financial focus, as well as a state of independence versus like healthy interdependence.
All of the lesser are minds.
Yeah, it's like super duper interesting. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that the first one.
I was like, oh.
Do we have any 99 babies in? So 9s are actually the full expression of each suit. They're that almost, they're actually that full expression, because the 10s, people think, oh, 10's the end, but the 10 is actually the excess, and it leads you right back into the next cycle. So it does actually make perfect sense that we were getting 9s, because 9s are really that full expression of each suit, and which is going to lead into that transformation once you're going past that full moon into the next cycle.
I was just jotting down like my own intuitive like little phrases were just popping through as you were talking, because I was just like getting like this image for the last one. What do I need to release in order to feel free? And I was just seeing like a little caterpillar slugging along, and then I was just like rest and then blossom. So that's
oh my gosh, I just yesterday, and I was actually I had just done a Reiki session, as I used to do, and I was sitting outside, like just on break, and had a little caterpillar come up to me. Yeah. So this caterpillar season is all about transformation,
Yeah.
which is definitely that death energy. And then, thinking just a lot. I mean, it's springtime, so lots about blossoming, but also in a personal reading I was doing this morning, had something coming through about being right before something blooms, and really like kind of anticipating something right before it's gonna bloom, and really kind of like sensing that energy. So that kind of feels like where everybody might be in a stage of personal transformation, where you're like, you can't quite see it, but you can kind of feel that it's almost there.